Here's some happy parts of my book that I have on the side. I have a lot of older nephew stuff added on the side, but on this one I don't have much of both of either. So here's some of my youngest nephew. Skipping rocks on a frozen lake. He used to like to get out of the house a lot, so skipping rocks. My niece combing my hair, baking both of them pancakes and triangles, making their lunch. Some of the ones that are still good for me, but I'm sure not good for them. Having to have my youngest nephew apologize for trying to steal, have him try to, having to tell his mother about some of the lighter and issues with that. I think that he saw me with a lighter and saw me probably smoking out in the back, and that probably has something to do with it. I'm not quite sure. I mean, all kids have problems with experimenting with fire. They just don't always tell their parents. I mean, most do. Most eventually play with a lighter or at least learn how it works by the time they're 16. I mean, it's just common. I mean, you don't light things on fire, but I had plenty of neighbors doing stupid stuff. I mean, a neighbor in Texas that was trying to make Molotovs way before I ever was, and he was younger than me when I tried to make that. So, as well as there was other people in my school in Chelmsford that were pretty much trying to experiment with just a lighter or stuff like that, um, lighting leaves and stuff. I was watching them. You know, people. It's just very common for people to try to harness the power of fire. So I wasn't surprised. I had turned them in. So that's going to be part of the book, as well as the details of other people, how I kind of witness other people using it and how it's a common occurrence. It's not that psycho. It's not. I mean, if you're trying to burn down a building, if that's really what you're trying to do. But also, sometimes kids just repeat or tell you what you want to hear too. I mean, that's not at all what I was ever trying to do. If that was what I was trying to do, then that's what would have happened. It would have been in a corner or someplace, and it wouldn't be out. That's for sure. If that's what I was trying to do, then that's what it would have happened. I mean, half the time kids don't know what they're doing. They don't have the words or the vocabulary or the psychology lingo to try to understand or explain what they are doing. They are exploring the world. They're learning around them. They're exploring their body. They're just getting used to their body. And you have to keep that in mind. Anyways, I have very good memories of my older nephew skipping things into a river, going to big amusement parks with his father, seeing the House of Mud. There's just a lot of movies. He was a comfort at my house playing cards. There was ghost stories. There's just a lot to go over, as well as my younger nephews. They were real easy for me. I mean, at that time, I was already a teacher's aide. I already worked with children. I already worked in a classroom in a psych ward with way terrible kids. I mean, these kids were very problematic in the classroom, but luckily, I only had to kind of do work with one of them. I only had to do one of them's work with him. It wasn't like I had to do all the work with all the kids. So, yeah. But that was the only positive of that experience. I mean, getting drugged all the time, losing education, having doctors take advantage of you, and having staff not listen to you and could cause harm to your body. I mean, none of these are good experiences. As well as the kids that I am roommates with and that I'm spending time with into these psych wards are definitely not any good influences on me. What they're saying and what they're thinking, some of it is they don't know what's going on with them, so they're just, they don't understand it. You got to spend years exploring it with therapists, exploring your own identity, you're exploring your own self. You got to try to understand yourself before you can understand even other people. But I digress. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Skipping rocks, I would have to say the walks. Even with my older nephew, I mean, he had a friend that had like a four wheeler, and we used to kind of walk on this path, and there was quite a bit of exploring to do. And Maine, walking on the beach and finding sand sharks and dead animals, shells, crab fishing. That was a good one. Both my younger nephew and my older nephew, I showed them how to crab fish. It was fantastic. You don't always need bait either. You can use bait, but you can make your own bait. And all you need is a string, but you can use a lot more than that. You can use like um, a orange bag to make a good netting that they won't let go of. I mean, there's a lot you can do. I mean, there's a lot. I also found this really cool mini lobster when I was with my youngest nephew. That was pretty cool, mini lobster. As well as, one time I said an inappropriate joke. I'm not gonna give the punchline, but I'll use it. I was young. I wouldn't use it today, but he was about 5 or 6 years old. We're walking down, and he asked me if there was frogs in a gunklet. He said, "Is there any frogs in this saltwater beach in a gunklet? Is there any frogs hopping out of the ocean?" And I told him, "Well, no. The only frogs that are on this beach are the human frogs." And that was very inappropriate, but at the time when you're 18, it might be kind of funny. And he didn't get it, but other people did find it funny. And it's a little racy, so I'm not sure if I would totally give the full joke, but um, yeah, I think you can get the premise from the way I worded it. It's kind of warm in my apartment, so I'm having better ability to speak. But as winter comes in, you'll see that I'm struggling more without the heat. As well as, I mean, the mold gets real bad during winter because it feeds off the heat on the inside. And who opens the windows during winter? I mean, you kind of have to in my apartment or you get sick. So I have a choice when it gets cold this year. I mean, it's every year. It's been every year since I discovered what was growing and what was going on. When I started getting sicker, it takes a couple years to get to you, and then you start feeling it slowly as the mold gets to you. And when you open the windows, right, and you get fresh air, it makes a big difference. Or you go outside and get fresh air, and it's not the smoke. The smoking's outside. I mean, it was the smoke too, but there's other stuff. It's clear when you look at the pictures, when you see the waterfalls when it rains. You can close all the windows and you still feel moisture come in, or you sometimes even have moisture come in to the point where it's running down the wall. You have to call the landlord, caulk it, try to block it, but it's going down the siding. It's getting in the siding. It's getting in the frames and going down in in between the outside of the building on the inside of the building. So the inside where I can't get to it is filled with mold. It's bad. And what they're eating is wood and dead animals. I mean, that's what crawls in is bugs, animals, and they live in the spaces between the walls. Down, way at the bottom. I mean, we don't hear nothing where we are because we're on the second floor, but the space is filled, and the drop ceiling has covered with mold inside there, and it goes all the way through to the back. And apparently the state doesn't have to do anything about that. So yeah, I'm working on moving out, but it looks like it's going to be a long process. It's maybe an impossible process if my health keeps on failing. As well as I don't have much options here. I don't. My mother took all my options away. A vehicle, only if I give up my soul. Um, Try to go to the state, only if they diagnose my neurological disorder or they want to do something about the mold. Work, only if I keep my health. Or kill myself working. That's what I've been doing slowly and as I get worse. So those are my options. But yeah, I posted a drip that wasn't as bad as the waterfall, but the landlord knows about that. Maintenance has seen it, and I'm not quite sure what they're gonna do about it, but we'll find out.